Hello and welcome to Connected Inc. 2022. My name is Michelle Dick and I'm on the Wacom education team. We are here today with representatives from Schoolhouse.world, a nonprofit founded by Sal Khan of Khan Academy that offers free online tutoring in math, SAT prep, and more. All of this work is hosted by volunteer peer tutors. So we're here today to learn more about their program and how their tutors leverage technology in their sessions and how educators can use Schoolhouse.world to support student learning in their classroom and at home. So I'd like to have our guests from Schoolhouse.world introduce themselves before we get started in our panel discussion today. Akshay?
So thank you, Michelle. I'm excited to be here. My name's Akshay, and I'm one of the team members at Schoolhouse. I graduated from MIT a couple of years ago, have an engineering background, and now I work on product marketing and still do some engineering work here. Pass it on to Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Akshay, and thank you, Michelle, for helping host this. My name is Matt, and I run programs and partnerships here at Schoolhouse. I also happen to have gone to MIT and to have done computer science, but very excited to be kind of on the other side of the house now, doing awesome work at Schoolhouse. I'll pass it to Rianna.
Hi everyone, I'm Rianna. I'm currently a peer tutor at Schoolhouse.world, one of the tutors that you might see on Live Help. I'm currently a high school student and I just like helping people. I'll pass it off to Evan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Evan. I'm also a peer tutor here at Schoolhouse. I'll teach mostly SAT math and computer science classes. And right now, I'm a college freshman studying computer science. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you. We're very happy to have you guys here as part of our Connected Inc. How about telling us a little bit more about Schoolhouse.world's tutoring, the origins, and what was Sal Khan's vision for the future of education?
Sure. So actually, way back in 2012, Sal wrote this book called The One World Schoolhouse, in which he outlined his future, a potential future, or his vision for what education could look like. And, it was this world where, kind of powered by technology, everyone from across the world, all backgrounds, could just teach and learn from each other, leveraging technology. And, fast forward to 2020, schools were closing down, Zoom learning was a thing, and it seemed like the perfect time to really try out that vision and see what it looks like to connect people using technology to, teach and learn from each other. So, fast forward a couple of years, fast forward 2 years, we have a team of 8 full-time people, and, we have thousands of tutors and almost, I think, 30,000 learners that have, come through the Schoolhouse platform. So, what is Schoolhouse? Schoolhouse is a nonprofit organization that's kind of a sister to Khan Academy. We're both kind of cut from the same cloth, but, we do operate independently. And Schoolhouse is a free peer-to-peer platform where anyone can go on, become trained, become a tutor, and anyone can also come and receive free tutoring. Some of my friends here will be sharing more, but you can learn, math, SAT, reading, writing, basically anything you want on Schoolhouse. And maybe to what brings us together here at Connected Inc. is that Sal Khan, as some of you might know, uses Wacom tablets to do those famous Khan Academy videos you might know of. So the Wacom team has already been working closely with Khan Academy for the last so many years. And when Schoolhouse started, we're like, wait, wouldn't it be awesome if we could empower basically anyone to be their own Sal and start empowering them to deliver free high quality tutoring to folks from around the world. And we spoke with Wacom, and Wacom has been generous enough to donate us tablets for our peer tutors. So when we have tutors that are doing an awesome job or are committing to help us with some of the programs we run, we have been, with the help of Wacom, giving them this technology to just help improve the quality of their tutoring and improve the quality of the learning that's happening on the platform.
Great, thank you for sharing. And I know that Wacom is proud to be a small part of the great work that you're doing. So tutoring is not something that's brand new, but definitely the model that you're utilizing is a little different. Can you tell us about how this is different than other tutoring organizations across the world?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a couple of things that stand out. The first one being, as Akshay mentioned, that Schoolhouse is a platform for peer tutoring, right? And that means students basically teaching other students things that they learned. And this isn't a new concept, right? We see this every day in our classrooms where the teacher is working at the board, but there's just so many students in class. And maybe one of the students who understands the materials better really well is able to help another peer, another student who's a little further behind. And I think that these connections are ones that we realize are incredibly powerful and ones that we can continue to encourage. And that's really what happens on Schoolhouse. And I think especially right with peer-to-peer tutoring, there's a couple of things that come with it. First, as a learner, right, it's more empowering and less intimidating to learn from someone who is closer to age as you, and it also it gives you the chance to learn something from a bit of a different angle versus the traditional way that a teacher might teach it. When you learn from a peer, you're kind of learning it from someone who just got it and then has that different kind of perspective. The other thing I would say is that as a tutor, right, you're not only just tutoring this material and getting better and understanding the inner workings of the subject that you're teaching, but you're also building other skills, whether it be confidence, leadership skills, lesson planning skills, communication, so many things that we've seen our peer tutors grow in that maybe they, and you know, we can talk to Rianna and Evan about that as well, but maybe it's not even something they knew when they were coming in, but it is a really positive effect that you see kind of down the road. I think the other thing that I would bring out about Schoolhouse that I'd want to emphasize is that it is a free service. You know, private tutoring, small group tutoring is something that's really expensive and hard to access in across the country, across the world. But at Schoolhouse, you're able to use our services, our tutors, you know, completely for free. And we do think that if, you know, just having a computer connection, giving you the opportunity to have access to tutors around the world is a really powerful thing that we want to continue to spread.
Great. So Matt, you mentioned briefly about some of the benefits of the peer-to-peer tutoring and some for the tutors themselves being able to build their confidence. But what other benefits do you see in peer-to-peer tutoring versus other forms of tutoring?
Yeah, and I mean, I think I definitely can speak towards right the confidence that is built. That one other thing that we absolutely love at Schoolhouse is that we're building a community, right? That are we have, you know, communication channels for all of our students to get to know each other and build friendships and mentorship beyond just this tutoring you know, service and model. And so, you know, being able to foster those connections is an incredible thing, as well as, you know, being able to reinforce your own learnings and pay it forward and pass it forward to someone else. But maybe I'll even pass it off to Evan and Rianna. Do you all have any thoughts as to where Schoolhouse and peer tutoring has benefited you the most?
Yeah, I think what you said is really great. I want to build more on the building confidence part. And at least from my experience, whenever students will come into my classroom and I'll emphasize that they ask questions, all of a sudden they'll have a flood of questions that might have not appeared in a regular classroom because either they don't have the time in class while the teacher is lecturing to do it, or they just don't feel comfortable talking to the teacher. So as soon as they see someone that's around their age, who just figured it out and remembers the tips and tricks that they used to learn it, then all of a sudden, all of these questions will come out and it'll start to make sense to the student. So that's just a pattern I've picked up on through the sessions.
One of my favorite parts of tutoring is when the students have their aha moment when they finally understand something. And like you can see it in their voice changing or their tone changing. It's like, oh, I finally get it now. And that's my favorite part because before they were thinking, oh, I'm never going to be able to get this. But when you walk through it step by step, showing them different ways, and then they're like, oh, I finally get it now. That's like the best part of tutoring that I really love about Schoolhouse.world.
That is always amazing to be able to witness that moment of learning. That was one of my favorite things in the classroom is to be able to see those same things as well. So speaking of the classroom, how can educators use Schoolhouse World to support student learning?
Yeah, so first of all, Schoolhouse is a completely free resource. We encourage all of you to go make an account, go check it out, maybe even hop into a tutoring session if you want to get a lay of the land. And we'd encourage you to recommend Schoolhouse to your students as a free resource to supplement, the great work all of y'all are doing in the classroom. And if you'd also like to kind of integrate with Schoolhouse a little bit more deeply in your classroom, we have classroom tools on Schoolhouse for you to basically create a classroom on Schoolhouse, have students join with the code, and then you can kind of keep tabs and check out what your students have been doing on Schoolhouse, be it some of the tutoring side or be it, what kind of learning they've been doing on Schoolhouse as well. So I encourage you to check it out and also create a classroom and have your students join.
So how does the platform work? And is there a way that this platform might be able to help classroom teachers address equity issues within the classroom?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. In terms of how the platform works right now, right, have had 3,000 tutors come through Schoolhouse, and basically it's being used every day, and it's kind of being used in a couple of ways. The first is that we have some more structured offerings. So, for example, we have a live help model that happens every day from 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, where basically any tutors can come on and host sessions that they have obtained mastery in, and learners are able to come on. Let's say they have, I don't know, an Algebra 2 question. They can get that answered by a tutor who's certified in Algebra 2, and that tutor is able to kind of throughout that 4 to 7 p.m. window help students through their one-on-one questions over that time span. Secondly, though, we have this more open marketplace where tutors can come on and host whatever they are most interested and most comfortable in teaching. And so as a learner, you're able to look at this open marketplace. If you think about, Uber has a bunch of riders and drivers, Schoolhouse has tutors and learners. So these tutors are putting out all of these sessions that they're incredibly interested in teaching across all these math topics and SAT prep test prep topics. And learners are able to come on and choose what is best suited to support their learning needs. In terms of, you also brought up, what is the equity point behind this, right? I think one huge thing, right, is that it really is a free platform for anyone, anywhere. And as a teacher or someone in the classroom, if you're seeing that some of your students might be behind in a specific area of math, that they can always come onto Schoolhouse and find themselves either a one-on-one tutor to help build out a subject or a skill set that they might be further behind in, or if you know that that's extra support on the one-on-one math help is something that you want to provide but might just not have the bandwidth to, that Schoolhouse is a free and equitable way for us to help serve those students as best we can.
That's great. I know teachers, it's a difficulty to be able to personalize and get to each student at that individual level. So having an additional free resource with great peers that can support that is a wonderful piece of information for our teachers. So can you tell us a little bit about what computers or technology does the learner and or the tutor need to participate in these sessions?
Yeah, so all the sessions in Schoolhouse happen over Zoom. So as long as you have access to a computer, anything from a Chromebook in your classroom to whatever you might have in home, or a smartphone, you can start join Schoolhouse and access a free tutoring session. On the tutor side, tutors use Zoom and usually kind of communicate their tutoring through the Zoom whiteboard. As I'm sure Evan and Rianna can attest, at some point, using your little mouse to write out equations can be a little bit of a pain. So, this is where our partnership with Wacom has been so great, where tutors with Wacom tablets can really expands the scope of how you can kind of convey information over Zoom.
Great. And being that Wacom tablets are certified works with Chromebook, that means any of the tutors can use the devices that they have accessible to them, as well as the learners who are utilizing their school devices. They can also use a tablet to complete their homework on their Chromebook or what they have access to. That's great. So how do educators, parents, and even the learners themselves know the qualifications or have confidence in the qualifications of their peer tutor?
Yeah, great question. And I think there's a couple of things there. The first one is certifications, right? Knowing that your tutor truly understands the subject that they're teaching. And the way our certifications work is that we leverage Khan Academy. So a tutor that wants to teach in a specific subject has to first prove that they have mastery by taking and teaching the like course challenge of that specific Khan Academy subject. And by having a high enough score and also proving that they can walk through their thinking in a way that makes sense and is effective tutoring, that gives them the ability to be certified to teach that subject. In addition to that, we also have trainings. And so before you're able to tutor, we have a number of built-in trainings around, active learning, respectful community, safety training, so that a tutor has the ability to, you can have confidence that your tutors have the ability to kind of hit well on all of these areas, and know, what to do if specific situations pop up. In addition to this, we also have a peer review system. So after your first session or after a tutor session that's maybe flagged as unhelpful, peer reviewers or more experienced tutors review these sessions to provide feedback, and also to provide any interventions, additional trainings they might suggest if it seems like this newer tutor might need additional areas that they need to be able to develop. And so, in that sense, we basically have created a system where tutors not only are initially trained to become strong peer tutors, but also have the ability to get feedback throughout their lifetime on Schoolhouse, both from other tutors and also from their learners after each session. Efficacy wise, we've been able to see that out of over 45,000 sessions that have been hosted, 97% of learners have rated their session as helpful, and 50% of those have indicated that the session was super helpful. So we're seeing that tutors are able to make the connections and put together the lessons that are really having a positive impact on their peers.
That's some excellent feedback to not only the peers, but to kind of understand for the educators and families who are putting trust into this tutoring program, to know that so many are rated that highly, as well as the level of rigor it takes for those tutors to continue to work within the program. That's great to hear. So in addition to those qualified tutors, how is Schoolhouse.world helping ensure that the students are safe and secure in their online tutoring session?
Yeah, so, as Schoolhouse is an online platform, we take safety extremely seriously. So I'll touch on just a couple of the kind of measures we have in place. First of all learners and tutors right now have to be 13 or above to use Schoolhouse. One other thing is all the communications on the platform right now are moderated, whether you're posting comments or messaging tutors. We keep tabs on those just to make sure that, all the communications are, safe and classroom appropriate. Third, as Matt mentioned, all the Zoom sessions that happen on Schoolhouse are recorded and reviewed. One, for quality, just to give tutors tips on how to improve in the future, but two, for safety as well, so that we're able to make sure, we're having a pulse on how things are going on Schoolhouse. And last, I'll touch on that we take reporting very seriously at Schoolhouse. So if a learner or a tutor reports something that they've noticed, either happening on the platform or happening in a session, we will escalate that and deal with those reports immediately.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. What would a typical tutoring session look like when once a student logs in? What's that process?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on which part of Schoolhouse you're joining. So I'll give you kind of two examples. One, if you come onto Schoolhouse for the live help, which happens for a couple hours every evening, you might come in with a homework question. You'll be matched with a tutor like Evan or Rianna, and you'll work with that tutor to just understand the question, understand which part of it you need help with, and work through the steps you need to get a solution. Of course, we work with our tutors to make sure we're not just giving out answers. We really want to make sure we're emphasizing the learning and teaching things that are transferable to other problems, not just the problem you're working on right now. So that's kind of the live help side. On something more like our SAT boot camps, we do have a curriculum that all of our tutors follow. That's some combination of working on practice tests together, going through slides with tips and strategies, and then going over kind of personalized questions based on how the students in that session are doing and which topics they might need more support in.
Great. Well, we have the privilege of having both Evan and Rianna here to share with us maybe how they got started or some of their biggest success stories. Perhaps, Rianna, would you mind starting us out with sharing how you got started with Schoolhouse.world?
Of course. So my first year of high school was during the COVID pandemic, like 2021 to 2022. All of the schools were online. I was online too. And I noticed that like not only were teachers struggling to like teach to their students, but also students were also struggling with absorbing the material. So since I understood the material enough, I decided, okay, how about I try to show it to them, see what they're messing up on or seeing what they're struggling with. Let me see if I can help them a little bit. So I did. And I did that mostly throughout freshman year, just, giving out tiny hints, maybe having some, like a little bit of study nights right before big tests and helping them understand. Then I think I'm pretty sure it was my dad. My dad was like, "Hey, are you helping all these people?" And I said, "Yeah." And he asked me, "Do you want to help a wider audience?" And he suggested to me Schoolhouse.world. And I was really interested, and it was super easy to become a tutor. I just needed to make an account. Get certified in some topics. I think I started with Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, and I got started and I decided to hold my first session. Most of my sessions at first were just crash courses for Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, but later on, Schoolhouse developed a new type of session called Live Help, where students just come in. I think this was already told earlier, but they come in and they say they need help with homework, and then we say, okay, we'll help you with your homework. And then we try to give explanations and try to help them through it. I think one of my biggest success stories was like when someone who came in was like really, really stressed about their test on logarithms. And they were like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what these things are doing. And they sounded like they were about to have a nervous breakdown. So I said, okay, let's start with what you know. And then slowly and slowly we got through the problems. Yes, the learner made a few mistakes, but as the session went on, he was making fewer mistakes. And finally, he was like, I finally get it. That was the best part of my life. Now, when starting like a life help session, when I was starting Schoolhouse.world, I had to like, in order to annotate on a person's homework, I had to like connect my iPad to my computer because my computer was holding the Zoom meeting. And so I had to connect my iPad to the Zoom meeting and then share my screen. And then sometimes it wouldn't work because the Wi-Fi wasn't working. It was just really complicated. And most of the times I had to ask the learner to wait as I got everything set up. But then I had my Wacom tablet come in, and it's actually in my room right now, just ready in case if I need to write something. So now instead, I can just connect my Wacom tablet to my computer, and it's really easy. I just have to plug it in, and then I'm instantly able to annotate, and it's super easy. It made my handwriting a lot better as well when annotating. So that was really nice. And yeah, I think that was my story on Schoolhouse.world. So I guess I'll give it away to Evan now.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great way of getting started with helping somebody at a smaller scale. I'm glad your dad knew to make a connection and get you a broader audience and more people to help. Thank you for sharing. Evan?
That was a really cool story, Rianna. I didn't know about that. So I started tutoring. It was AP Computer Science A. I'd taken it the previous year, and my teacher, he walked up to me and asked, "Hey, I have some students struggling in this class. Can you figure something out with them? Because I don't have the time within my period to help them out." So it was just one or two kids, and then eventually it grew to big study groups at Panera 3 nights a week for the rest of the year. And then over toward the end of that school year, I was scrolling through my TikTok page and I saw Schoolhouse.world on my TikTok page. And I was like, oh, well, I found out I like tutoring. Let's take this a step further. So I started tutoring. I didn't even know how to screen share. I was filming a piece of paper and working out the problems on that piece of paper. But then as we got more technologically advanced, we got more people in the audience and we figured out how to screen share. And then at some point, my Wacom tablet came in, and it was the peak of efficiency for my tutoring sessions, because before, again, on paper, that was rough. Eventually we figured out how to screen share. I was using my trackpad to write out the formulas, and it was a little better, but it was still inefficient. As Rianna was saying, I would need sometimes to where my formula writing would be so messy that I'd have to be, okay, wait, guys, let me write that again. And it wasn't as good as it could have been. But when my Wacom tablet came in, there was a noticeable difference. I got to go through so many more practice problems, so much more material in the same amount of time. And it left more time for learners to ask questions or run through more practice problems. It really just got rid of the dead time during the sessions. So in that way, that's where it helped the most. I would say outside of tutoring, I've also used my Wacom tablet. Actually, I brought it to college with me, and I've been using it for Zoom groups. Whenever I'll have a Zoom study group, I'll start writing my question on the screen, and I'll have a bunch of people ask, "Whoa, how are you doing that so quickly?" I'll be like, "Well, let me tell you about this little tablet here." But
That's
all in all,
awesome.
it's been a cool experience.
Well, it's great to hear how your Wacom tablets made your tutoring sessions more efficient, and it became something that you're able to utilize outside of your tutoring sessions as well. That is a nice silver lining in this great partnership that we have. As we're kind of coming to a close, we do want to ask, what are some practical tips that we can give to our learners or students who want to be a tutor, or for our families who are interested in finding out more information?
Yeah, so whether you are a parent, teacher, learner, or tutor, go make a Schoolhouse.world account. It takes around a couple minutes to make an account, and then you'll see kind of what all the options are. If you want to learn, you'll be able to access, the live help and all the tutoring sessions and browse through, the topics and subjects you're interested in learning. If you're interested in tutoring, you'll see a big thing that says become a tutor. And then we'll walk you through the steps it takes to, get certified and, do the trainings and, continue that process of becoming a tutor. And finally, you'll also see an option to create a classroom if you're interested in creating a classroom and having your students join as well. So, regardless, please just check it out. We'd love to see you join and kind of contribute to what we're doing here in any capacity.
Right. So it seems like there's so many wonderful things that are happening in your platform, but what's next? What's the next big thing?
Yeah, and I can touch on this. We have a number of really exciting projects kind of coming up. I think the first one, which has honestly given us an incredible number of tutors and learners and just brought so many people to the platform, is our SAT boot camps. And so basically we launch these before every SAT. So we've done it for the November and December ones most recently, but bringing tutors and learners online for this 4-week program where they can get support, tackling the SAT. And so over this most recent December SAT, we actually saw basically 1,000 tutors and 10,000 learners take up this opportunity. And so what we're doing now is working on ways to make this even more scalable, but also making sure that even across this number of tutors and learners, that it can be just as high quality, and that all of these new participants are getting all the support and training that they need to hold really amazing sessions on Schoolhouse. I think the second thing that we're going to try is a bit newer. We're working actually to expand into middle school. So before, like as of right now, Schoolhouse is for students who are age 13 and above. But we're working to expand into middle school age students, firstly. But secondly, we're also working on a school offering that's going to have us partnering with actual schools and working with their teachers to bring a number of our Schoolhouse tutors to really supplement their classroom and help them close the learning gaps that they might be seeing within their classrooms, right? I kind of mentioned the high student to teacher ratio before, and not being able to necessarily provide individualized support to each of your learners. Well, that's something that we're trying to tackle with this school offering model. And then thirdly, I think the last thing that we're really looking at is we now are bringing so many people into the Schoolhouse system. How can we really build an even stronger community through this and have tutors and learners that want to be on our platform every day, building lessons out, helping each other, learning from each other, and really building a community of learning that is kind of that Schoolhouse of the world vision that Sal kind of set out to build. And so we've definitely had some amazing momentum in the last 6 months to a year, building up scale to a degree which I think has been incredibly exciting to watch. And we're even more excited about the prospect of being able to strengthen all of the bonds that already exists within Schoolhouse.
It sounds like things are very busy over there. Lots going on. That's great. There's been a lot of talk about math and the SAT boot camps as being these huge draws. Are there any plans to add additional subjects and bringing other topics into the platform?
Yeah, so right now when you think of kind of the structured Schoolhouse offerings, as we say, those are more on the math and test prep kind of subjects right now. But as Matt mentioned, we do have kind of a marketplace where tutors can teach anything, learners can learn anything. Just to give an example, this last summer, we hosted this thing called Summer Camp, where we basically encouraged tutors to host whatever they felt like hosting. And we saw tutors hosting everything from origami to art to, we co-hosted a comic book drawing session with Wacom to Model UN to Rubik's Cube, basically anything. So we're excited to kind of work on these very structured, programs, but also just have a place for people to connect and learn together.
Well, summer camp, that sounds wonderfully fun. So thank you so much for all of the information that you provided. And Rianna and Evan, thank you for being so generous with your time and the work that you're doing. And I can't even imagine the footprint that you're making in supporting so many students through your open sessions and your SAT prep. And so we just want to kind of give you a round of applause for all of your hard work and things that are happening. And we appreciate that and the impact that you're having. Also, a huge thank you to Akshay and Matt for being here and sharing about the great work that you're doing. And those who are attending Connected Inc. today, thank you for joining us in this session. We hope that you're able to join us in our next session that's coming up today at 5:30 Pacific time. And that session is preparing students and schools for future careers in the creative arts. Thank you again. It looks like we had some folks who hopped right over Akshay and Matt and were checking out the website, and there was something that they were unfamiliar with that hadn't been mentioned, the tutor tree. Could you tell us a little bit about the tutor tree on the website?
Yeah, sure. So the tutor trees were kind of a fun project we built out during a hackathon. A hackathon, we just spent a couple of days just kind of playing around with the Schoolhouse platform and seeing what we could build. And we were noticing so many kind of connections being formed on Schoolhouse where someone would tutor someone, and then a couple of weeks later, that person would become a tutor themselves. And we're like, wow, it's really kind of our mission is to blur the lines between, who can teach and who can learn. And, some of those most inspiring stories are those people who came to Schoolhouse to learn and then, got inspired and motivated to become a tutor themselves. So tutor trees were basically this thing where we mapped out kind of what these connections actually looked like. So for example, if I taught Evan a session and then Evan became a tutor, then Evan taught Rianna, we'd kind of form this tree of, who's inspiring and motivating who. And we do this cool thing that once you kind of hit a chain of more than 5 people, we actually plant a tree in the real world. We've kind of donated to an organization that plants a tree kind of on behalf of the connections that are being formed at Schoolhouse. So it's just a fun thing we do. That's just a testament to, even with these tens of thousands of people, we're seeing just so many connections being formed, so many people being inspired, and it's just crazy to imagine, how much farther we can and how much more we can do.
I like how you turn something into a physical positive piece. That's a great connection. Thank you for sharing that. We had two other questions, and one I think we kind of touched on was about the software that the tutors use to write out their equations with learners. And I think that I heard majority of what's being used is the whiteboard within the Zoom meet. Is there something else that the tutors have utilized during their time, or is that your primary place is in the whiteboard?
Evan and Rianna, do y'all know?
I don't even use the Wacom tablet on a whiteboard. I'll just straight up screen share and then use the annotate tool on Zoom and then do my formulas through there, and all my students can see it from there.
Perfect.
I also personally tutor with a Wacom as well. I tutor every once in a while on the platform. And I know some tutors that use other software too. So sometimes I use like OneNote, for example, and I'll use my Wacom on there. So whatever tutors are comfortable with.
And this is a little tangential, but I also think pretty cool. Like a lot of our tutors are building their own curriculum in a lot of these sessions. So you'll see everything from, just a PowerPoint, but also to Kahoots, to like all types of learning software used just to make sure that their students or their learners are engaged and, really can interact with the session. And it's really cool to see.
That is amazing to hear. As a former educator in the classroom, that shows a great level of dedication to go above and beyond and be super thoughtful of your learners for that engagement.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. And then currently, is there tutoring that's offered in different languages?
So as of right now, we are primarily English based, but I think over time, definitely want to be able to expand to other languages. I think one thing that has been cool also is that like in the summer camp, I think there was an intro to Korean class I was taught. So I think we love that there is this like world tutoring group that's happening. And so the ability to share cultures has been something that's really awesome to see. So yes, hopefully in the future, although right now, just English.
Okay, great. Thank you for hanging on with me with the FAQs. I wasn't managing my tab, so I popped back over and we were able to grab those last few pieces. So again, a thank you to those of you who were sharing your stories with us. We greatly appreciate that. Oh my goodness, I'm getting a last minute question in our question stream. Talking about do all of our Wacom tablets and displays work for this for annotation? And that is one of the great things about our Wacom tablets is anywhere that there's inking, we play well. We are software agnostic. So any Wacom tablets and displays can work in utilizing any tool that has some digital inking components built into it. So maybe I should give a pause. Let's just like a last minute questions before we say thank you a third time, because we are super gracious and thankful for your time, but definitely don't want to miss out on any questions. Okay, it looks like we're good. So thank you again. And those of you who are still here viewing this session, if you have time this evening to hop on to our next Connected Ink session starting at 5:30 Pacific time, and that was preparing students in schools for future careers in the creative arts.